This is my walnut guild, right next to the pear tree guild. Succession planting is the walnut guild. This is an English walnut grafted onto black walnut roots. Black walnut is native to this part of the country. You can see the graft down here. Right there. Black walnut is native, and so the roots are very healthy. English walnut is a lot easier to eat. Theoretically, we're just going to get our first walnuts this year finally. This tree has been here for 5 years and was probably 3 years old when we got it, and it's just producing its first walnuts. So jury's still out on that. And I tried to graft on some heartnut, which is a Japanese walnut, but my grafts did not take. So that's been a learning experience as well. But the idea was to grow some nuts, and I would really have rather had pecans, but a local nursery informed me that pecans would not grow in this soil. So that's why we got a walnut tree. Now the problem, of course, with the walnut tree is that it poisons the soil for other plants. There are a lot of plants that can't put up with the juglone that the walnut tree produces. So what I'm doing here is experimenting with various different plants in the soil around the walnut tree. We have a couple of dwarf mulberry trees here. This one looks a little bit funny because it got knocked over by the dogs. But there are quite a lot of mulberries getting ready to ripen here. So we're going to have a good crop of mulberries, and they're very tasty. So there are 2 dwarf mulberry trees, and the idea here was, on a suggestion from the guy's garden book, to try to ameliorate the juglone in the soil using the mulberry trees. However, they are so very close to the walnut tree that I'm pretty sure the roots of the walnut have already extended under the sidewalk to the pear tree. So it's probably not going to work, but it was worth a try. Meanwhile, in the shade of the walnut, we have a lot of other things. There's feverfew here to attract beneficial insects, and I have a lot of annuals planted in this. This is a much younger sheet mulch than the one across the way. This one here was 5 years. This was sheet mulch 5 years ago. This one probably 2 to 3 years ago. 2 years ago. And so what was 6 inches deep in mulch is now essentially bare soil. And so I went ahead and planted seeds in that soil, and I'll mulch around the plants when they get a little bit larger. But we've got, probably half a dozen or more different types of annuals planted here, from radishes to typhon to rutabagas, mustard greens, all kinds of stuff planted here. And so the idea is to see what grows well in the shade of a walnut and what doesn't. The leeks were doing very well. There were probably twice as many leeks earlier on in the spring before I harvested them for market. And one other experiment I'm doing here is using irises as a grass barrier instead of the plastic edging that I used on the other bed. So it's not exactly a perfect controlled test, because this grass is this is crabgrass, not Bermuda grass. And the crabgrass is a lot easier to keep out. So currently the irises are doing a great job of keeping the crabgrass out. But whether they would work for Bermuda grass is a completely different question. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's the Walnut Guild.